Thank you.
Yes, thank you, my lady. That was my last question regarding just the background. And insofar as necessary, the reason for leading those questions were just to demonstrate that, according to Mr. de Kock's knowledge, the statements by senior officials that they were unaware of the acts of Vlakplaas is not true. And that was the only purpose of that, my lady. But I am finished with that line of questioning.
If I can just respond, on the witness's evidence before your ladyship at this stage, he was not involved in the incident relevant to you, neither was Vlakplaas involved in the committal of these tragic incidents. So, with the greatest of respect, the background relating to Vlakplaas and the involvement of Vlakplaas and or the witness in other incidents is, with respect, really irrelevant for purposes of the present inquiry.
Although I understood
my
that
friend is clearly correct, and I associate myself with that objection. This is utterly irrelevant to the inquiry before.
is it not relevant to understand the command structure, how it cascades down, Mr. Hughes?
Nothing of what was testified about had anything to do with decisions that were taken or not taken in the Eastern Cape at that time, and the witness himself has said that he was unaware of the happenings and his only involvement was to give advice about what to do with a weapon that had been used unlawfully.
Yes, Mr. Spoon.
My lady,
Yes, Mr.
if I may just also add our voice. My lady, this is an investigative procedure. Your ladyship is here busy with an inquiry into one of perhaps most oppressive, brutal killings in the history of this country. And it is clear from all the evidence that had been presented on the record before your ladyship that Vlakplaas had been integrally involved in not only this killing, this incident, but others as well. And this witness is, see, the evidence that this witness is giving regarding the operations of Vlakplaas is very crucial to this investigation. And we would therefore submit that he be allowed to testify on issues relevant to the operations of Vlakplaas.
As far as this inquest is concerned,
Indeed, my lady.
insofar as this inquest is concerned.
Yes,
My lady,
Anyone
thank you.
else wants to make submissions in this regard?
I would just like, to respond to Mr. Coltman's submission. I haven't heard any evidence of any nature that Vlakplaas was involved in this incident. I'm not suggesting that it's not public knowledge from previous proceedings and also Mr. de Kock's involvement in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that Vlakplaas was involved in unlawful conduct relating to many incidents. I'm not disputing that, but relating to this incident, what we heard from his own mouth, the truth that neither he nor Vlakplaas was involved in this incident. And that is the only concern that I raised. We're opening the ambit by accusing people not relating to this incident, but they may deem it necessary subsequently to come and clear their names and or put their version to the court, and that is my concern at this stage.
Mr. Van?
My lady, we would support the state and my learned friend for Mr. de Kock. My lady, Mr. Schumann is entitled to explore the chain of command in which these kinds of operations were carried out. And it's not just a question of Vlakplaas. Vlakplaas was part and parcel of the security branch. And this witness is in a position to talk about the command structure in relation to how security branch operations were carried out, not just in relation to Vlakplaas. In respect of individuals who may be implicated, well, so far the witness has only spoken about witnesses who are no longer alive, such as P.W. Botha.
Please, my lady, insofar as necessary, my lady, just to avoid confusion, we will also later, if necessary, object to similar fact evidence being led. The purpose of this, this witness hasn't testified yet, and it seems like, I don't know if it's accepted that Vlakplaas was not involved in this operation, but I think it was prudent to get this testimony from Mr. de Kock for his version and to explain how the operation worked. So it was mainly to get the structure, the command structure, was the purpose of that, but we are not suggesting in any sense that we are going to allow similar fact evidence.
Well, with respect, my lady, we haven't been given any particulars about the command structure, except that he has testified that in one particular instance at which he opposed, he asked who gave the order, and on hearsay basis was told that it was the minister or the commissioner of police, and that the instruction came directly, and this is another hearsay agreement, of the President P.W. Botha, and on his own version it's an isolated incident which tells you nothing about the ordinary command structure or the general or generally applicable command structure that apply to Vlakplaas and to the police force and to the security police.
Unless I'm mistaken, Mr. Hunis, there does seem to have been throughout the inquest a dispute about the command structure. So insofar as that is concerned, I would be prepared to admit that evidence. But Mr. Skuman, if you can
I'm finished.
control the witness not to
Yes, my
expand on individual
As a please, my
activities
lady.
that have got nothing to do with this particular inquest.
As a please, my lady. Mr. de Kock, may I take you to paragraph 23 of your statement? That is where you stated you confirmed that you were not involved in the murder or the planning of the murders of the Cradock Four, and then at paragraph 24, just restate what your previous testimony at the Truth and Reconciliation was, and then at paragraph 25 you briefly provide a background of what you testified at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Just briefly, can you explain to the court again?
Honourable, when the moment Van Zyl called me and he informed me that he needed a firearm of the same type, and the moment he informed me of General Engelbrecht's krappies, but I found out now his name is Johan, intervened and
Before we
cleaned
go
up.
there, Mr. de Kock, sorry.
No, I have to fully explain we're going to get more questions. I became involved and I became an accessory after the fact. It's not that Vlakplaas was involved in this, but Vlakplaas, not under my command, was involved in a murder of the Petco 3. And it's important to know who gave the information there, which is Carl Edwards, which is living here. It's Craig Williams's.
Just quickly, apologies, Mr. de Kock. We'll get to that, I assure you. Can you just firstly inform the court what, if anything, did Mr. Van Zyl tell you about the Goniwe incident or the Cradock Four incident?
Well, he told me about that he was involved in the incident. He didn't give detail. He wanted to know if I can get another firearm. Well, firstly, if we could interfere with the ballistics. I said, I don't have a contact. Then he asked, what's the possibility of another firearm? I said, no, that's it. I couldn't get another firearm. Then he, at a later stage, informed me that General Engelbrecht was there. And Gerard Lotz also informed me that General Engelbrecht was there, because obviously there was some evidence left at the scene of the murders, because it was not necessary for General Engelbrecht to come down to Port Elizabeth, because the Port Elizabeth Murder and Robbery Unit was one of the best in the country. And to the gentleman there, when you think the ministers or the presidents didn't know,
We just need
Your president,
No,
the
no,
clerk,
address the
gave
question.
an order for
Mr. de
murder.
Kock, Mr. de
He
Kock.
shot
My-
5 children.
My lady, may I request we can just maybe take a 10-minute adjournment?
Okay, court will adjourn for a short while.
achter oath en God en voor te herinneren dat u nog steeds in het ethisch om de waarheid te praten. Bevestig u dit to confirm that?
Yes, Your Honor,
The
I confirm it.
Has been a reminder that is still under oath, my lady.
Mr. Schoeman, it won't be necessary for the court to ask Mr. de Kock to only address the court and not address himself to counsel you. I hope you've done that.
We have.
Thank you.
And please, Mhlauli. Mr. de Kock, we've been through this and you read the testimony. Mr. Lotz, Winter, Taylor, Falco, Gaduka, Shakati, Saki van Zyl, were any of those persons mentioned members of Vlakplaas?
No, never.
I've got no further questions on that.
Ms. Botelli is still here. Any questions?
I do.
Or should we start with the evidence leaders?
If Ms. Lady doesn't have any questions, maybe I can start.
All right.
Thank you, my lady. Colonel de Kock, firstly, thank you very much for having come to court today. And thank you for your frankness and candidness, openness with the court. Thank you. Now, I know you just been asked by your counsel whether you knew, I beg your pardon, whether all these other members of the team that killed the Cradock Four, whether they had been members of Vlakplaas. But can I just go through those names again? Eric Alexander Taylor, did you know him?
No, not at all.
Gerardus Johannes Lotz,
Yes, I knew him.
and how did you know him?
I was one of the COVID operators, not a security policeman, but he was drawn in later to the security police here. But there he was uniform branch and he was in a fighting unit, well, the combat units.
If you say there, what do you mean?
I'm talking about the Wambuland and
Of Ambule.
yeah, and there was fighting groups, usually 4 vehicles and a support vehicle. So he wasn't involved in extracurricular or those type of acts.
But he also became a member of Kufu.
He was a member of Kufut, yes.
And you confirmed, I'll come back to your evidence that you gave in at the TRC, but you are a founder member of the Kufu unit.
Yes, I must qualify. I was sent from Rokana, I was a station commander, uniform branch. I was sent to Mkonto, but my remit was under the security branch of Shakati. As the Wambu Home Guard was a joint South African security and army operation. And I was sent there for counter-terrorist training because there was nothing happening. They weren't operating, they were just lying around.
See, and that is also where you met Captain van Zyl.
I met him later, at a later stage. I was seconded already. I got a message that I was transferred to a unit of Skye. It was just secret. I was then informed that they're going to form a unit like the Sicelo Scouts. And then on, I think the 3rd of January, the first people from Pretoria arrived, the five Kufut founder members.
3rd of January of what year was it?
No, I was a founder member of the combat units.
I see.
Not the security police. I wasn't also utilized for their purposes.
Yes, no, I just, the reason I'm asking it is just because we find that Captain Van Zyl was also a Gqeberha member, and he was part of the team, or he was in fact in charge of the team that killed the Cradock Four.
Well, I'm not guessing, but a year later.
Yes, no, I understand. And Lots, do you have any recollection of when you met him?
I only got to know him then. But we got along very, very well. We had a very sort of open relationship.
Yes, and Lots, Gerardus Lots?
Lots, decent, very well brought up, but he was also in the combat units.
Sorry, there was also what?
In the combat units, the fighting units.
Thank you.
And Nicolaas, Jacobus, Jansen and Renzo?
Nicolaas Jansen van Rensburg.
Nicolaas...
Was it Nick van Rensburg?
Yes.
No, he was in the Eastern Cape, I believe. Yes. So I had no contact with him.
And the Hertzheimer?
I had no contact with him.
Hermanus, Barend du Plessis?
No contact with him, but I met him later when he was transferred to head office in Pretoria, the security branch, headquarters Pretoria.
And just before I proceed, Mhlauli, I just wanted to go back to your statement. In your affidavit, I just want to make sure that we get this right. Your paragraph 26, you say, I cannot recall the exact events due to fading memory and time passed. However, I have reviewed the transcript of my testimony at the TRC, which reflects what I remember to the best of my knowledge. Is that correct?
Say again? I know until the TRC, but then after that?
It says, which reflects what I remember to the best of my knowledge.
The death of?
The best, which I can recall to the best wat ek kan onthou, tot die beste van my vermoed.
Yes.
Yes, so you did go through your TRC testimony. That's all I wanted to ask.
Yes.
Yes. Mhlauli, just to make sure the formalities, that is Exhibit D in the record, Exhibit D 15, and it's found from page 831.
It's not part of the bundle relating to Mr. de Kock.
Mhlauli, it falls under TRC amnesty hearings. All evidence in respect of the above applicants.
No, I'm just asking, in order for me not to search for Exhibit D, is it not part of this bundle that relates to Mr. de Kock's evidence?
It should be, but I'll verify that and,
All right. Okay.
and come back to it.
I'll note the reference. You can proceed.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so can I then ask you, do you then confirm the correctness of your testimony that you had given at the TRC?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Then, I know you said that none of the members of the team that had been listed or named to were members of Vlakplaas. The members of the team that killed the Cradock Four. But if I can just ask you, one of those members was in fact an Askari. Are you aware of that?
One of my members?
One of the team that killed the Cradock Four was an Askari.
Dat een van die lede wat die Cradock Four verhoor het, dat hy eintlik 'n Askari was.
No, I have no knowledge of that.
That killed or alleged to have killed, I don't think anyone has been found guilty of the killing the Cradock Four.
Mhlauli, that is what is reflected in the TRC
All right.
evidence.
All right, I hear you.
Court will just bear with me.
I wondered what you were.
Could I assist?
Yes.
I think you're referring to the mother of one.
No. What had happened was, and it was part of Van Zyle's evidence, Saki Van Zyle. Saki Van Zyle called Sergeant Mkonto. I beg your pardon. He called Sergeant Faku at the Brighton police station, and he asked Sergeant Faku to bring with him Warrant Officer Glenn Mkonto, as well as Collier Shepherd Sakati, also known as Charles Jack.
I have no such Askari in my unit.
Well, it was concourse in the TRC proceedings that he was indeed an Askari.
If he was, I didn't know it, and he wasn't in my unit.
Yes. So all I want to know is that if he was an Askari, he would have come from Vlakplaas.
Not necessarily, no.
Why do you say that?
We had an incident in Queenstown where the Askaris identified the MK member. And they were on the verge
So we had an
in Queenstown,
Yes.
in the Eastern Cape. The MK members that we deployed there identified an MK member, which I arrested. And it then turned out that he was working for the security branch. And it then transpired that some of the security branches didn't report their MK members to head office. They kept them and used them as registered sources. They were registered as sources and they worked for the security branches. And that caused a lot of confusion. So all security branches had to send a memorandum of all the MK members they have, so that when we work in an area, they must withdraw them. But not all the security branches complied. And that, actually General Gqeberha was in charge of that. So that is what happened.
General Gqeberha was in charge of the Askaris.
Well, he started the Askari problem, a program basically.
So he would have had a record of all the Askaris.
Well, what I had in my unit wasn't very good. What the security branches had, which they were hiding from the head office, was not known to us. That's why this man in Queenstown nearly got shot. It then transpired that he's working for the Queenstown security branch. But what they do then is they register such a person as a registered source, and he draws a salary. If there's any medical situation, his medical is paid. out of the standing advance. Submit those people's names to the head office so we could add them to the list. So according to the head office, these people were still active MK members.
Yes, Mhlauli, I'm going to have to perhaps come back to it at a very later stage. I will just need to verify the information, but thank you for having offered that explanation. So, his situation would have been different to, for instance, the Askaris that were sent with the team members that killed the PEPCO 3 members just a month before the Cradock Four.
Yes, that was my first crisis on the 1st of June when I took over Vlakplaas. And that team that came back from Port Elizabeth was under the command of Captain Roel Venter and Warrant Officer Gqeberha. And but they didn't inform me about what happened. Later in the day or the next day, I was informed that there is a physical altercation between Joe Mamosela, which was not an Askari, never. He wasn't even trained. And Warrant Officer Gqeberha, because they were fighting about the watch of one of the PEPCO 3.
Yes, we don't want to know.
But I stopped this situation of where people that is not MK or APLA or whatever else they are, because they're civilians. I don't know who gave that instruction for them to go to Port Elizabeth. I didn't even know it. When I took over the unit on the 1st of July, that was my first crisis that I had at Vlakplaas.
Yes, no, I understand. At that time, the commander at that stage was Brigadier Jack Goniwe.
Yes, I believe he was.
Yes. The court will just bear with me.
Just remind us, Mr. Coltman, Goniwe was the commander of what? Of which
Of Vlakplaas.
Oh, thank you.
And it was at the time of the PEPCO 3 killing. That was about in 8th to 10th of May 1985. What was this be? I may say you have been so cooperative that it sometimes makes it difficult. You've given more information than I in fact anticipated.
You know nothing.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I fully understand. Thank you, Mr. de Kock. I just want to understand. You were told by Captain Van Zyl shortly after the killing of the Cradock Four, or he had asked for information how to dispose of the weapon.
Yeah, to change the ballistics, or
To change the
the ballistic characteristics on it.
And round about that stage, he had told you that that he had been involved in the killing of the Cradock Four.
Yes, he said that Mr. Goniwe overpowered him, nearly overpowered him, fighting. That's why the shot went through the roof.
Well, and pardon me for asking you, but why that was a brutal killing. It was murder. It was a serious offence. Why did you not then or report that to the police?
To whom?
Yes.
To whom was I reported?
Yes.
To the head of the security police.
Mm.
One man cannot stand against the state. They will take you out.
What do you mean if you say one man cannot stand against the state?
Well, I would have to go to London, but at that stage we already bombed the ANC office, so I couldn't go there. And then talk about it, but to whom would I report this matter? It was reported. That's why General Engelbrecht came down. Somebody reported and must have said, and now I'm speculating. Yes, problems here. You have to come and sort it out. And as I have already indicated, the murder and robbery unit in PE was one of the best. I think the commanding officer was Colonel Eric Stradom, and he was a CID member of Mkonto when I was in uniform. Very effective.
Just explain, just repeat what you said about General Engelbrecht. I couldn't quite hear what you said. Is it why General Engelbrecht had been involved?
Yes, you had to get involved to make sure that any evidence that possibly link the South African security police to the murders of the Cradock Four.
And he was the head of the...
Sorry, what about the evidence? What did he have to make sure about that is the Engelbrecht?
Het moest Engelbrecht van zeker maken met betrekking die getuienis van de Cradock Four. Wat was de rol?
The only reason for that was that the murder and robbery unit of the Eastern Cape of Port Elizabeth must have investigated, and they have found evidence on the scene, and they realized that this was something quite probably from the security branch.
So what was Engelbrecht supposed to do?
Dus die vraag...
Well, Engelbrecht had to remove any form of possible connection between
evidence.
those that killed the Cradock Four and the security police, or the police for that fact.
Thank you.
And we know that Engelbrecht was at that stage the head of the murder and robbery.
He was at the stage in the middle 80s at Brixton.
Yes.
But there he murdered a man by the name of Myron.
Yes, but yeah, it's not good. My apologies. Really, as much of what I wanted to cross-examine the witness on is in any event in the TRC evidence, and has been covered there. Those are my questions. I have no further questions.
Just before the other representatives ask questions, I didn't understand the part about your evidence was to the effect that you were required to advise as to how the ballistics of the firearm could be changed. But you also mentioned a request to get another firearm. That's what I didn't quite follow.
Nou, wat ek nie gevolg het nie, is dat hoe kon julle inloop met die ballisties betrekking die vuurwapen gebruik was. Die tweede gedeelte, wat ek ook nie gevolg het nie, was die feit dat jy 'n ander vuurwapen moes gekom.
I understand the part about ballistics being altered, but I also hear you mention that there was also a request of a possibility of getting another firearm. That's the part that I didn't quite understand.
Ek verstaan die gedeelte van die ballistics. Maar die gedeelte wat ek nie verstaan nie, is die versoek dat u 'n ander vuurwapen moes bekom. Dit is die gedeelte wat vir my onverstaanbaar bly.
Ma'am, let me explain. When I refer to a blank, it is the barrel, not the extractor, and not the Afrikaans uitwerper. Not too sure of the English. The uittrekker en uitwerper.
Okay, that is...
The extractor, and there's a pin that deflects the empty round.
That is the ejector and
Ejector.
the hammer.
Yeah, but if the owner sends it for ballistics himself, he will see that. So you need the barrel changed. That refers to a blank.
Thank you. Ms. Buteles, are you ready, or Mr. Vani are going to start?
My lady, I would prefer if Mr. Vani starts, but if my lady insists I start, I can.
No, I'm not insisting on anything.
Or
I'm
would
just asking
prefer.
who's ready to.
Or would, my apologies, or would prefer.
Yes, Mr. Vani.
Thank you, my lady. Mr. de Kock, firstly, thank you for coming down to Gqeberha to testify and speak frankly. My lady, I understand that you do have a copy of the L5 bundle in relation to our cross-examination.
Yes, sir.
I can indicate that we have emailed that bundle to all the parties, and we've also given a hard copy to our learned friends for Mr. de Kock. Mr. de Kock, before we start in earnest, I just want to pick up on one or two matters from your statement. In paragraph 19 of your statement, you mentioned that in the Zietsman inquest, Judge Zietsman found that the deaths of the deceased were brought about by deliberate acts committed by an unknown person or persons, and no adverse findings was made against me. I just wish to point out to you that Judge Zietsman also made the following finding. My lady, this is at volume H, page 304, the fourth paragraph. Judge Zietsman found, he wrote, "In my opinion, there is prima facie proof that it was members of the security forces that in fact carried out the murders." So while he couldn't identify the individuals in question, he stated in his finding that there was prima facie proof that it was the security forces responsible. Do you accept that?
Yes, I understand.
You also mention in your statement that Saki van Zyl related to you what had taken place at the scene of the crimes at which the Cradock Four were murdered. And in your statement you mentioned that he mentioned that documents were being burnt. Do you recall?
Documents was being?
Was being burnt.
Documenten was uitgebrand. Sakkie van Zyl dat vir u vertel wat sou gebeur het by die woord van die Cradock Four. En wat daarmee gepaard gaan is dat daar documenten wat by daardie voorkwam uitgebrand was.
It's possible, but I didn't burn any.
Okay. I assume he didn't mention to you which documents were being burnt?
No.
and you on the chain of command, the instructions to carry out this operation. So in brief, there is evidence or allegations before this court that on the 19th of March 1984, there was a meeting at the State Security Council at which the then Black Minister for Education, Barend du Plessis, called for the removal of certain teachers. Are you aware of that, or do you recall that?
No, because I didn't sit in at any.
Yes, indeed. But subsequently, perhaps through the Zietsman inquest or the TRC records,
I didn't even know there was a Zietsman inquest. I was never subpoenaed or anything like that.
And that just a few days later, according to the amnesty application of one Jaap van Jaarsveld, he was sent by Craig Williamson to do a scoping exercise in Cradock to work out the best way of eliminating Goniwe and Calata. Are you aware of that?
No, I didn't know Jaap van Jaarsveld. But what I do know is that Craig Williamson's own agent of Operation Daisy, which infiltrated the ANC, Carl Edwards, was operating here, and he was getting a lot of information. Eric Winter was in Cradock, so I can presume that there must have been cooperation in that.
Okay. And according to the amnesty application of Mr. van Jaarsveld, he proposed that the individuals not be eliminated in their homes in Cradock, but rather that they be abducted on an isolated road and then eliminated thereafter. That's in the application of Mr. Jaap van Jaarsveld.
No, I really didn't know it.
Right.
How they're going to be eliminated. I mean, it was mentioned after the fact.
Yes. Then on the 6th of June 1985, there was a GWS or a JMC, a Joint Management Committee meeting that was chaired by then Deputy Law and Order Minister Adrian Vlok. And he called for recommendations on what to do about Goniwe.
I never sat in on any of the JFCs.
Right. And then the very next day, on the 7th of June 1985, the infamous signal, which was authorized by the officer commanding of Eastern Province Command, then Brigadier Joffel van der Westhuizen, a signal was sent to the Secretariat of the State Security Council proposing the urgent permanent removal of Mr. Goniwe, Mr. Calata, and another Goniwe by the name of Mbelelo Goniwe. Did you ever get to hear about that signal?
I heard about it, but at the TRC when I testified in 1997.
Yes. And then, of course, just a few weeks later, on the 27th of June, the Cradock Four were in fact abducted on an isolated road, removed, and then ultimately eliminated. So, given that context, in your view, was the decision to murder the Cradock Four a local decision or a national decision?
I don't know,
But
but
on what basis is he qualified to express that type of opinion?
Can you not tell us whether or not he has any knowledge about that, whether he can assist the court in that regard? I think it's up to him, to the witness, to say that he's not in a position to enlighten us about it.
Just to add to that, Mhlauli, I also didn't understand the question quite correctly. It seemed like the question is for this witness to speculate. So if that is the question, if he can just make it clear that he's asking him to speculate on a matter. As a pleasure.
We're not asking the witness to speculate. He is a senior security branch officer with vast experience in carrying out similar types of operations. We're asking for his opinion on the matter.
Yes, you can proceed.
As the court pleases. So, given that context, in your view, as a very experienced senior security branch officer, do you think that the decision to eliminate the Cradock Four was taken locally or higher up at a national level?
I don't know, but it would have come to from a higher level. There's no other explanation.
And perhaps just taking that point a bit further, the head of the local Joint Management Committee, this in fact was then Brigadier Joffel van der Westhuizen, head of the EP Command, in the signal that he sent, authorized sending on the 7th of June of 1985, it was an urgent proposal on his part. So it does seem as if the head of the JMC, at least at that time, didn't have authority to simply go ahead and issue the order. Would you agree?
I don't know. I never sat in at the JSC. I don't know how they operated and how it interlinked with each other.
Yes. Yes, I'm not suggesting that you were there or you took part in it. I'm simply asking for your view that van der Westhuizen wasn't simply authorizing the killing. He was proposing, recommending the urgent permanent removal, which we will be submitting, means murder.
Yes, it means
That's the end of this issue.
The witness has said he does not know. He didn't sit on the JMC. He doesn't know how they operate.
Yes, all right, I'll move on. If we can turn to the signal itself, Mhlauli, this is part of the record already. I do have copies in case the court wishes to look at it. With believe the court will hand it up.
Does the witness have a copy thereof? Thank you.
So again, Mr. de Kock, we know you had nothing to do with the signal, and we're simply asking for your view, your opinion as a senior security branch officer. What, in your view, the signal could potentially mean?
Mhlauli, if I could, before the witness answers, and I'm not trying to interrupt the evidence continuously, I'll make one submission on the admissibility of this type of evidence and then let it go for argument. But a finding as to the meaning of the signal has been made by the previous inquest by Judge Zietsman. After days and days of interrogatories on the meaning and linguistic evidence, this court, looking for facts in order to support the matter set out in Section 16 of the Inquest Act, should not be concerned and should not allow opinion evidence because it does not assist the court in coming to any other conclusion as regards the meaning or the subject matter of this inquest. Right, please.
Yes, Mr. Van.
Well, Mhlauli, if the court takes the view that it is bound by the finding of the then we will move on from this point.
Yes, you can. You may proceed. You may move on from this point.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now, I also want to put to you, Mr. de Kock, again, your view as a security branch officer, according to Mr. Saki van Sail, no, I beg your pardon, according to the amnesty application of Mr. Harold Snyman, and this is at volume H, page 175. He made reference to a meeting that he had had with then Minister of Law and Order, Louis Lagrange. And in relation to the Cradock Four, Mr. Snyman alleged that Minister Louis Lagrange said, "Do what is best for the country." And according to Mr. Snyman, he interpreted that as taking certain steps, including the elimination of the Cradock Four. Would you agree that Mr. Snyman, when hearing those kinds of words, would interpret that to mean that he could go ahead with the elimination of the Cradock Four?
Yes.
I want to make reference to the attempt, or the alleged attempt by the security branch to cover up this crime. And according to the evidence given by Nicolaas Janse van Rensburg, who I understand subsequently became a giant of the security branch in Port Elizabeth, he stated that a cover-up story was concocted and that the Cradock Four killings were the result of fighting between ZAPO and the UDF. Did you ever get to hear about that?
No, sir, never.
And maybe that's at volume H, page 540. Can we talk about, did the security branch have a practice of coming up with cover stories to cover up such crimes?
Yes, many.
So this was routine practice?
This meant murder. And none of the people ever use gaan vermoor and go and murder that man. There's always euphemisms being used. And to my point of view, if I might put it, permanent removal here, they could have detained them under Article 29. They could have sent them to Komati Poort or Uppington, which would have meant that they would have just gone forward and created new groups or new units or more, well, mayhem, if I put it that way. So this will mean murder. There's no other explanation, none. You can play with words all you want.
Thank you, Mr. Now, I want to refer you to the Motherwell incident. And Mhlauli, I'm going to be referring to the bundle. The amnesty decision is at page 215. I want to put a quote to Mr. de Kock at page 217. Mr. de Kock, you previously made to the Motherwell reference case. Indeed, you were an applicant for amnesty in this matter, together with a number of others, including Nicolaas Janse van Rensburg and Gerhardus Jacobus Lots.
Oh yes, yes,
Yes. So you are familiar with the facts of the Motherwell case?
yes.
So I want to put to you a passage from the decision in relation to the reason for the killing of the deceased in that matter. And then I would ask for your clarification. Mhlauli, I'm reading from the top of page 217, just that first paragraph. The first issue in dispute relates to the reason for killing the deceased. It is common cause that de Kock, Nieuwoudt and van Rensburg met at the latter's home in Pretoria 2 days before the incident, when de Kock was ordered by van Rensburg to assist in executing the plan. De Kock testified that Nieuwoudt explained that the deceased had to be killed because of their involvement in a fraudulent scheme which entailed the interception and appropriation for personal purposes of checks mailed to various trade unions and left-wing organizations. There's a section in brackets which I'll skip. The police were under pressure to charge the deceased, who in turn threatened to expose other unlawful activities in which the security police were involved should they be charged. Although he did not immediately challenge the justification for the intended killings, de Kock concluded upon reflection that it was inappropriate to justify the killings of colleagues in particular. He returned to van Rensburg and questioned the justification. Van Rensburg, who was in his office at the time, indicated to de Kock that the matter was much more serious than merely the fraud. He indicated that the deceased could make disclosures relating to the security police's involvement in the killing of Matthew Goniwe and other sensitive matters. This further explanation satisfied de Kock that the killings were in the national interest. So, would I be correct in saying, Mr. de Kock, that there might have been multiple reasons for the killing of the Motherwell Three, but part of the reason was to ensure that they wouldn't disclose any information about the killing of the Cradock Four?
I will agree to that, because if they were threatened to be in charge for fraudulent checks, there was actually a whole racket going on concerning intercepting credit cards, car hire cards, checks, and then I don't know where the money went. And then these three members did the same, but they were caught whether on camera or whichever way. And they were going to be charged, definitely. And then that would have, as far as I know, because Van Rensburg wouldn't be involved, Nieuwoudt and Carl Edwards. In fact, the bomb was built at Carl Edwards' house.
And am I right in saying that 3 of the 4 who were murdered that day were also involved in the Cradock Four killings?
I can't say that.
Yes.
I wasn't given that information.
Right. Well, as a matter of record, we know that to be the case. I also wish to move to other incidents, because we will be asking this court to take into account that some of the persons of interest, very few of whom are still alive today, but also including those who are deceased, also took part in other targeted killings against enemies of the state in operations similar to that of the Cradock Four. And we wish to look at the role in this regard in relation to 5 individuals, and I'll just let you know up front who they are. Mr. Krappies Engelbrecht, Craig Williams. Those 2 are still alive, but you might be aware they deny any involvement in the Cradock Four matter. And then the other 3 are deceased. Louis Lagrange, Adrian Vlok and Nicholas van Rensburg. What I intend to do, I'm going to go through 7 incidents in which you were involved, and then one or more of these individuals who have been implicated in one form or another in the Cradock Four case are also implicated in these matters.
Lady, at this stage it's clear where my learned colleague is going with these questions, so it's plainly clear that he wants to elicit similar fact evidence. My lady, my question or objection to this will be that what purpose will this possibly serve? So if we keep in mind that any evidence tendered, it must be relevant, and what will the possible probative value of rehashing what happened in these situations? And I think it's common cause that all these people were involved in these incidents. My question is, how will eliciting this evidence and getting Mr. de Kock's opinion on what happened in the other incidents help in any way whatsoever for this court to come to a determination? I believe that it's irrelevant, these questions, and that the similar fact evidence will not assist this court to coming to a finding, as it pleases.
Yes, Mr. Vanna.
Well, my lady, I have to say I'm quite surprised at the submission from my learned friend for Mr. de Kock. We are ready to make submissions on the putting up of questions in relation to similar fact evidence. We have in fact prepared short heads of argument in that regard, and perhaps this would be an appropriate time to make those arguments.
Yes, you may proceed. Are you in possession of the heads of argument, the
Yes.
other parties?
Yes,
Yes.
we will hand them up.
Mr. Schoeman, Mr. Celia, Mr. Eunice?
Yeah, but I recall that during the previous occasion there was a distribution of brief heads that was emailed. I don't know whether it's the same heads my learned colleague refers to, but if you have maybe spare copies, we would appreciate to have a copy.
We did make copies this morning, but I suspect that some of them have already been handed out.
We also haven't received a copy yet.
Nor have we, my lady.
My lady, they are in fact the same heads of argument that were emailed to the parties last year. We do have a copy for the court. We have given a copy to the MPA. I thought there were more copies. I wonder if we can borrow that copy. Perhaps we can ask the parties, perhaps I can ask my attorneys to email it again to all the parties. And with the leave of the court, we'd like to hand up a copy to the court.
So it would be easier for the other parties to follow your argument if they had the heads, even if they're only reading them now or refreshing their memories on them
Yes,
now.
and in fact copies were printed this morning. I have found one more copy here, which I'll hand to Mr. Skuman. So Mr. Saliers has a copy, Mr. Skuman has a copy.
Thank you. Okay, can you just take a short adjournment just so that you just browse through the heads and then we can hear Mr. Vani. Go to the adjourn for a short while.
You gave his seat to him, so you know she and it did.
Is my water up there? I never Is my water there? Thank you.
Savoy matter still stands, and unless there are other reasons, for instance, a provision by the legislature in specific legislation that will enable a court to allow it, then you should follow the general rule as set out by the Constitutional Court itself in paragraph 35. It is generally speaking inadmissible. Lady, that is what we respectfully submit, or I respectfully submit, is the general legal principle at this stage to be applied. My lady, we have the first and even if the principle relied on by Mr. Barney that you find in paragraph 58 of the judgment, the question should be whether we're looking at it in totality, evidence of similar facts has sufficient probative value to outweigh its prejudicial effects, and that is a matter of degree in each case. My lady,